Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Words for Life, the podcast where we look for inspiration and motivation through quotes, sayings, ideas, and people. Today is the day after the 4th of July, Independence Day for those in the United States. And I wanted to make a video regarding that concept, independence. Oftentimes, independence can be seen in a couple different ways. It can be seen as strength and solidity, being able to handle things on your own and being able to accomplish whatever you set in front of yourself. This is the good things of independence, being able to sustain yourself and take care of what you need to take care of. There's also independence of thought. So being able to think for yourself and being able to do the things that you enjoy, and you aren't dependent on those around you and how they behave, how they interact with you, and how they might try and influence you. Now, sadly, there's also a side of independence where people think of it as selfish or as not wanting to help or work with others, that independence can be seen as a negative. And a lot of that, unfortunately, goes back to perception and tone of voice, how you treat other people, and what their expectations of you are. So, with this concept of independence, let's look at the good side of independence. Let's focus on that. Being independent allows you to go and do the things that are right for you. We are all individuals, we all have our own thoughts, processes, feelings, and so on that make us unique in who we are. And by having that independence and not dependence, which we'll get into in a second, allows us to be free of mind and free of emotions and free of thoughts. Now, when I say free of, I don't mean absent of, but I mean free of in terms of being able to express the emotions how we feel them, express our thoughts as how we think them, and feel things as how we feel them. So it goes back to not being dependent, is that word again, on the situations and people around us. Now, being dependent on itself is not necessarily a bad thing. We help each other, we want to work together, we are in a societal type of structure where we have to really be together and work together. Now, I say have to, it's probably not the right word for that because many times people want to be together. They say that those individuals who often spend time by themselves in isolation, COVID was a really good example of that. We saw many people being isolated and feeling depressed and anxious and really out of touch with the world due to missing that social circle that they had that gave them stability. So that level of dependence is good, that social structure and being able to work together. But then there is codependence. Then there is extreme dependency where you can't make your own decision without somebody else weighing in. You don't know what shirt to wear because you don't know how somebody is going to react to it. You don't know what type of food you should eat because you're afraid of the perception of others and what they're going to say around that. That type of dependence is not healthy. It's not beneficial to your life, to your friends, family, and those around you because you can not only be detrimental to yourself by not really having your own ideas and thoughts and feelings, but then you can kind of be a little bit of a leech to those around you because you are now solely dependent on others making decisions for you. Some might see this as, you know, a psychological type issue, codependence, but others might also see it as a not that level and just something that's been learned over time. So this is where it becomes really questionable about how you're going to go and handle this. It's important to understand what you're doing for those around you. Are you gaining insight from those around you, or are you dependent on others' insight for what is needed? So that kind of goes along dependence, but let's go back to independence. So, as I said, this is the day after Independence Day, and the focus of this podcast or this episode is about independence and being able to think for yourself, speak up for yourself, and do the things that you want to do to make your life the life that you want. When you go to that level and really take care of your own physical situation, your own mental situation, your emotions, and your own social structures, you might find that there are those around you that don't like that. They don't like that you are being independent in that way because they're so used to you being dependent on others or on a situation or on other people's thoughts. So, as you go towards this journey of independence, if you're not already there, you might find that some of your family are more distant than what you expected, or some of your friends are no longer your friends. But recognize that you will gain better friends and better acquaintances and better connections the more you become independent and the more you become really you. So, I highly recommend to evaluate, are you independent or are you too dependent? I won't say dependent because there are situations where it's important to be dependent, but being too dependent is an issue. So look at your life, take an evaluation, write down in your journal, try and document where you have independence of emotion, mind, physical, thought, all those things that make up who you are. And then go to that next step to determine the things that you are too dependent on that you need to go and actually adjust. Start taking those one by one to figure out, is this a good dependency? Is it a bad dependency? And what am I going to do about it? That's where you can start evaluating your life, really picking it apart to determine, is this the way I want to be? Or do I want to be different? I won't say better because not everybody is better when they do this situation. Some people, they need to be dependent on others and might require deeper levels of therapy to get past that. So don't go rushing out trying to change everything if you have something that might be a little bit deeper and needs more assistance on than just some words of encouragement. So think about those things as you're evaluating your life. But for those of you who you're not too far in one direction and you want to start bringing things back to that independence, do that. Make sure you are independent and really have your own freedom of thought, your own freedom of emotion, and your own taking care of yourself. Understanding, I don't mean like ignore your husband or wife because even though they're supporting the family and you shouldn't be dependent on them. Not like that. More making sure that your ideas, your thoughts, your concepts, and your emotions are your own and are not dependent on someone else's feedback to tell you what they are. So, kind of wrapping things up, independence is a wonderful thing. Unfortunately, there can be the bad side of independence and the good side of independence from a perception perspective. But it's important to have that independence of mind and emotion to really live an authentic life. You've heard me say this on other episodes, but it's really important to really do that. And you will attract those around you who like your authenticity. And you might lose those who don't. But such is life. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Words for Life. I hope you'll join me on the next episode. Again, I do offer life coaching services. So if you are interested in that, I have left the link in the description to my website where you can go and ask for more information on the forms for contact. Or if you want to start requesting services, we can work on that too. I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you and have a great day.